Hey guys, it's Marissa from Grow in the Flow, and we are here today for a very special edition for Libra season, where we're going to be exploring relationships through the 6's of the tarot. So what this is about is Libra season will be beginning very soon on September 22nd, which is the same day as the autumn equinox. And of course, we know the autumn equinox represents a turning point where we arrive at the halfway mark of our astrological year. So Libra is really the perfect zodiac to guide us through this transitional point. And we know Libra is represented by the scales, and its energy inspires us to create a sense of balance in our own lives. You know, under the Libra sun, we're all called to balance our energy levels, looking at our inner world as well as our outer world, and the flow of giving and receiving. So that symbolism of the scales really showing the giving and receiving aspects. And this is also a sign that can represent our relationships. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. So as we take a look at Libra season, we have a very beautiful, very powerful Libran new moon coming up on September 25th. So I'm going to dip a little bit into the astrology that is associated with that moon. And of course, as I always say, I am not an astrologer. I am an enthusiast, and the resources I am weaving together come from some really amazing sources that I will have credited here with this video. So on September 25th, the new moon is bringing us some open, expansive, and gentle energy. Thank you. Finally, we have been in this retrograde season. There's been a lot of fogginess, fuzziness, feelings of being ungrounded perhaps. And of course, with Mercury going retrograde in the sign of Libra, it's quite likely that any communication challenges or gaps that you might be experiencing, glitches, can be happening in the realm of your relationships. So this is going to be a welcome reprieve, this new moon on September 25th. And it really is very harmonious and aligned to helping us vibrate with our true and highest self. So really connecting in with the alignment of our aspirations, our goals, the things that we're looking to bring in, and our highest selves. So as we look at this new moon, we might be asking ourselves, where is my energy best served at this time? Where can I be of greatest service? And of course, we know our energy truly is a precious resource. It is a commodity like any other physical material aspects. And we do have a choice, even if it's just a small one, as to how we approach the different situations in our lives and how much energy are we going to put into them. So there's an aspect that's shining a light on that as well. So that is certainly going to apply to our relationships, our interactions with others as well. And there's another piece to this new moon happening very active in Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, opportunity, and abundance. So because this planet is so active under this new moon, it's adding to the sweetness, the abundance of the opportunity for really manifesting the new. Libra is also the sign that represents the self in the other, meaning the self that we show up as in the many different relationships that we keep. So that's what makes Libra season a good time to also reflect on the relationships in our lives and what they may be bringing out or up for us to take a look at. So some of the questions we can reflect on during this season is, who do I become in the many relationships that I keep? It's a time to observe how your behavior or energy shifts around certain people. Are these shifts triggered by expansion, your ego, your inner child, or perhaps your trauma? And so when we reflect upon relationships, I like to look at the 6's of the tarot, because the energy of the number 6 relates to, you guessed it, our relationships and their dynamics. The number 6 carries the vibrations of balance, peace, harmony, equilibrium, reciprocity, exchange, giving, and receiving, just to name a few. And this energy is beautifully demonstrated in the tarot through the 6 cards of both the major arcana as the lovers and all 4 suits of the minor arcana, the cups, pentacles, swords, and wands. Relationships very often act as a mirror, alerting us to hidden parts of ourselves, our traumas, our wounds, our unconscious behaviors. All of our interactions are reflections back to us, bringing up for us aspects of ourselves to be seen, or perhaps aspects that we feel we might be lacking. And there are certain relationships that can really inspire us to show us who we want to be, how to unlock more of our potential. But sometimes the most significant relationships in our lives are the ones that trigger us the most, the ones that challenge us the most. So as I talk about relationships, and these can be relationships with other people, relationships with aspects of yourself, it can be your relationship to a thing like food or exercise or some type of a spiritual practice that you're wanting to bring into your life. Whatever is coming to mind for you at this time, I want you to hold that in your mind, because as we go through the 6's of the tarot and take a look at the archetypes and the symbolism that's coming up for us, and ultimately a really beautiful tarot spread that we can use to really dig into our relationships a little deeper and glean some insight in this very powerful energy. So first up, we have card 6 from the major arcana, the Lovers. And the Lovers card always denotes a choice. It looks at duality and the choice to bring oneself into harmony. There's also a nod here, clearly, to the temptation of the Garden of Eden. The angel that's depicted in the card is Archangel Raphael, who is the Archangel of Healing. Highlights of this major arcana card include taking a look at relationships as a mirror of ourself, our relationship with others, romantic or otherwise, and knowing that relationships mirror back to us. They're always reflecting or highlighting aspects within ourself. So, it may be that the others that we are reflecting from could be very similar to us, or perhaps vastly different. They could complement us, or they could really trigger us, right? So it's teaching us deep spiritual lessons, and that includes our deep spiritual friendships, our tribes, the people who we have a soul connection with. Now, speaking to the Garden of Eden symbolism in this card, it's this aspect of, seeing what is possible, knowing that we can be healed and whole and vulnerable. And rather than it being some nirvana that we are working towards, right, that we are earning our status in, we recognize in this card that there is a better world, for sure, but it's actually already within this world. It's already here. We are in the Garden of Eden. And that's a beautiful overarching lesson that this year is here to show us, because 2022 is numerologically a 6 year. So every year correlates with a major arcana archetype. And this year, 2022 adds up to the number 6 and correlates with the overarching lessons of the Lovers card. So that is going to be something that we see overall coming back to us through the microcosm in our little worlds and in the macrocosm of the world stage when it comes to our relationships. Now, with the flow of giving and receiving, this card shows us that we are all the same. We're equal, but yet we're not denying our differences, such as anatomy, as we see here in this card. Overall, though, we're reflecting back the microcosm and the macrocosm in its symbolism of gender, race, equality, and duality, just as much as it demonstrates our personal relationships. So there's rich symbolism within this major arcana card. And so now we're going to delve into the minor arcana, those 4 suits of the tarot, which each have a card number 6. And all of the 6's of the major arcana are going to represent aspects of balance, harmony, and reciprocity. So let's dive in. And now here we have the beautiful, soft energy of the 6 of Cups. And I love the mantra with this card that says, I am at peace with my past. It has brought me where I am meant to be. And in fact, this is a card that reflects upon the past, on nostalgia. Typically, it's a fonder, simpler time. Memories of all kinds. Can be about storytelling. It can speak to past lives or karma. It's about innocence, heart opening, connecting in with our inner child. It may highlight our past self or even our future self. It's a trajectory through time. And it really can denote a spiritual kinship of sorts that relates to the relationships with self, others, or even a relationship with something, such as a spiritual tool, like you and your relationship with faith or prayer, or your relationship with any activity or state of being. The flow of giving and receiving says that there is an invitation to befriend and care for your inner child, to have unconditional love and compassion for all aspects of self, for children and the adults that they become. It truly is a card that highlights worthiness, worthy in all ways. Here we have the 6 of Pentacles, which is perhaps the poster card for the flow of giving and receiving. This is really the plainest demonstration of that balance of give and take. It's a look at the exchange as it pertains to our relationships with other people, our relationships with money, with energy, with resources, etc. It invites you to look at the investment being made in your relationships. So this can be in your homes, in your job, within society at large, and so forth. It clearly highlights that dynamic that exists between the haves and the have-nots. And the flow of giving and receiving shows us that the scales are a reminder that things are never going to be 50-50 in our relationships. There really is a sliding scale whereby we can glean insight into where an exchange may be at present. So when we feel into our relationships, we can kind of recalibrate and get a sense of where we are in that flow of giving and receiving in any given relationship. And we may also get a perspective on perhaps what we're not seeing or recognizing in that exchange. There may be something that the other party is giving that we didn't really account for, that we didn't realize, because when we're looking for things to all be equal, we may be thinking that there is something lacking, and yet when we really feel into the energy of the exchange, we may see something there that we didn't realize. It's an opportunity to acknowledge those contributions that are made by all parties. And it can also help us to learn to receive with a grateful heart, one that is free of resentments and any scorekeeping, allowing those scales to balance and recognize that whether I am in a period of giving or receiving, that we can recalibrate and balance those scales as we will. And now for the 6 of Swords. This is a card of moving onwards and upwards, as I like to say, to brighter horizons. So the 6 of Swords is indicative that there is a transition happening here, that one is moving through perhaps turbulent emotions, heavy emotions, as they hold on to hope that calmer waters are ahead. It can represent travel, movement, moving on to that brighter future. It can be about consulting a third party for therapy or some sort of an overseer to guide through emotional times, rough waters, as is depicted here. and really this invitation to drop some of those swords, to lighten the load, to be in greater flow. And so it's a beautiful card that speaks here to the flow of giving and receiving, where we see that on the sea of life, we all take turns. Sometimes as the navigator of the boat, paddling on towards the horizon with certainty, and other times perhaps we are the huddled passenger, cloaked and clinging to hope. In this case, I hear that song, Lean on Me. Beautiful, beautiful energy of hope and promise on the horizon with the Six of Swords. Now here we have the Six of Wands, which is a card of victory and success. We see here that the Six of Wands depicts a figure who's riding into town on a white horse. They're crowned in a laurel wreath. They have arrived. They are being seen, acknowledged, and celebrated by the crowd at their feet. It's a card that's about having a platform, being lifted up, and being free of the energy of comparison and competition. The ecstatic crowd are the cheerleaders, praising and holding space for this one individual. And the message of flow and giving and receiving here, we see that sometimes we are the star, riding high on our horse. Sometimes we are the cheerleader, supporting and rooting for others. And yet other times we might be the horse, carrying all the weight. It's all a balance in our relationships. And so now highlighting each of these 5 tarot cards and bringing them into how they relate to our relationships, I have put together here a very special spread that I like to offer in and around Libra season as well as the Libran moon cycle. So here as we come upon this Libra new moon on September 25th and we enter into Libra season, I will be offering this special spread. If you would like to book with me now, I'm going to be offering these comprehensive readings that are really going to explore a relationship of any type through the energy of the 6's of the tarot. Now, this reading will be looking at the full scope of the 78 cards of the tarot, but focusing on how each message that comes up for you relates back to these 5 cards and these archetypes as they relate to our relationships. So we'll be looking at these 6 key insights into the cards. And so as you think about what relationship you would like to glean some deeper insight or get some guidance on. So this can be a relationship with another person. It can be a relationship with an aspect of yourself, with a habit, a pattern, a way of being, with a thing, like I said, such as food or activity or something that you're wanting to glean some more insight into. We'll be taking a look at how this relationship is reflecting back to you, past aspects of the relationship that are coming up to be seen or released, feeling into where you may be out of alignment with this relationship, what you can do to bring this relationship into alignment, what new energy is currently arising for you at this very powerful time, and how you can best align yourself with this change. So this is a fun spread. I have really gotten some great insights from using this spread myself personally, and as I have offered this reading in the past. So if you're interested, please do reach out. There's a link here for booking now. It will be available here for a limited time. Now, if you've enjoyed this special look at these cards of the tarot and you want to know more, I'd love to hear in the comments anything that you're interested in knowing about the tarot. I am planning to put together another section of this series that I've offered. We've reviewed in the past some of the cards of the major arcana, especially focusing on the Fool. And I would like to do something highlighting each of the minor arcana. So I'm very interested to hear anything that you'd like to know about the tarot, any questions you have, or modules such as this that you'd be interested in. I so appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much for joining me. I always appreciate your comments and your support. Thank you for sharing this with anyone that you think might appreciate this content, and for liking and following as well. I am sending you so much love and many blessings. Until next time, take good care.